So this is it, guys. Last three races in the Formula One World Championship. And to round it off, we come to Las Vegas, the place where there are lots of high risks. And if you work it out well, lots of high rewards too. The title decider is here. The first time we could really see game over in 2025. And we walk in with Lando Norris having a 24-point advantage over Oscar Piastri. And then, of course, there's Max Verstappen waiting in the background too. Now, kind of count him out, but this could be where you see things really changing in the World Championship. Because after this, we've only got Qatar and we've only got Yas Marina. And this circuit canal is the coldest in Formula One. Things are about to change here in Las Vegas. It's not going to be an ordinary weekend for sure. Let's start out with our predictions.
Predictions.
We
Okay,
have to.
wow. What are we predicting? Can we predict what the weather is gonna be like? Because this is the coldest race that F1 has every season, or at least last three seasons. Coldest race on the F1 calendar, and temperatures between 12, 14 degrees. So much so that drivers have actually complained of their fingertips biting through the cold. Soumil. I love that. I love that F1 throws so many different challenges, different circuits, high grip, low grip. We've never had so much discussion on low grip circuits. Now, different temperature ranges, cold, really cold temperatures going straight into very hot desert. I mean, even Las Vegas, Nevada is pretty much desert, right? But to get there, and I loved what you opened. It's the final triple header. Before we know it, Formula One 2025 will be over. It'll be settled, and just to give a perspective, right? The time difference between Las Vegas and Qatar is 11 hours. Okay. And the flying time is 18 and a half hours. And,
Hmm.
I'm amazed how these drivers do it. And of course, everyone else, but the drivers, because, high performance athletes and all of that.
And it's going to change a lot here because from Las Vegas to Qatar, the weather will change, of course. The track characteristics will change big time. Qatar is very high speed. It's got lots of back to back corners. Vegas, on the other hand, 6.2 kilometers. I think the second longest circuit in the entire calendar with a 1.9-kilometer long straight. It is lengthy as hell. So if you were wondering, this is going to be a straight victory for McLaren, well, think again because they haven't quite won here in the last two occurrences. Red Bull Racing won with Max Verstappen in 2023, and that's kind of like an odd year because Red Bull were winning everything. And last year, we saw George Russell absolutely dominate in a Mercedes. It was cold, and the McLaren struggled, and Max couldn't do much. And Ferrari looked like they were going to be a good team, which is why I wanted to start off with predictions because this is one of those outlier circuits, Kunal. Mexico City is one of the other ones you think of with the high altitude and stuff. But then when you come to Las Vegas, it's cold. The circuit is long, lots of long straights, lots of 90-degree corners, lots of places where you can indeed pass. And it's a circuit where you see low grip. So will that mean a low performance Oscar? Because that's what the trend has been ever since we've come back from Monza.
Oops. Oops, oops. Yes, that's likely what it's going to be. The colder temperatures that we've been talking of, and that's going to be the drinking game for the weekend. Actually, lots of fun words which will be used as drinking games. Cold temperatures, late night race, a very late night race for that matter, right? They
Yeah.
literally race. Depends how you see it. If you're a morning person, they race very early in the morning. If you're a late night person, they race very late night. I think FP1 is like 1:30 local time or
Oh, it's
something.
perfect. It's
Yeah.
perfect. It's the right time to be up at. Like I don't know what the problem is. 1:30 is when you get live. There's finally a Formula One race at our time. It's incredible.
But
You might find it a bit tougher, Kunal, for sure. But
yeah, for me, I'm like, can I? That's halfway through my night sleep. But anyway, the predictions. Will Oscar Piastri be there or not? And Max Verstappen has said it's bizarre his pace drop that's happened. Can you imagine? Max Verstappen has noticed. Jos Verstappen has said he'd be banging his fists on the table in McLaren. Are they both trying to rattle the two McLaren drivers, maybe McLaren themselves, whatever little gamesmanship they can do by saying, yeah, we know what's happening, even though it seems all fair from the outside?
I think they're pure competitors. They would try. And on top of that, they're Dutch. And the Dutch are very honest. In fact, too honest sometimes for some people's liking. And they just say things as they see it. maybe this is what they see. Maybe that's the view they're getting from the next best garage in Formula One. Does that mean McLaren are untouchable nowadays? No, they're not. In spite of being constructors world champions, McLaren are not untouchable. We have seen that so many times. Remember Suzuka when Max Verstappen was able to absolutely dominate, and then it just isn't quite the same everywhere. Conditions change, and this might be one of those circuits where the changing conditions, where the cold, where just the tire strategy and how everything plays out might not quite favor them. Are you banking on a McLaren driver for pole at least, Kunal? What's your prediction for that?
So, I know this is predictions, and let's understand this. McLaren here have never been in the top five in the qualifying or the race. It's of course 2023, 2024, two races, but two races are enough, especially when McLaren was still the constructors champions last year. So it's not that suddenly they've come up this year, right? In 2023, both cars were out of Q1. Okay. And Andrea Stella, of course, the team principal at McLaren, is very eager to prove that they have the fastest car at every race. Yes, whether the drivers win or not is secondary, but he makes it a point to actually say, we had the fastest car at this race. And especially in the middle, when Max was suddenly winning everything 3 races ago, I remember they came back and said, it means a lot to me to know that we still are the class of the field, because that's what he does. He engineers, or he leads the team of engineers who builds those cars. So, having said that, McLaren are out to fool us in two ways. Lando Norris has been saying all along, Las Vegas, we're going to struggle. Andrea Stella has been saying we may have found solutions that will help us in Las Vegas, right? In the press conference, Lando Norris said, last year I was so off the pace. I just treated it as a test. I threw all the tools at it, and somehow I managed the race pace of the other teams. So I still believe we could be there. So that's going to be the big question this weekend. Will McLaren be there? Can they be there? And will we suddenly realize that if we go to an absolute cold circuit, McLaren still struggle? And I say this even more so with the drivers championship, because if Red Bull is there and there are lots of other drivers between Red Bull and the McLarens, could Max score big points? But I don't think McLaren is taking pole. Very long answer to a very short question
Yeah,
of
exactly
yours.
what I was wondering. Yeah, I was like, you haven't told me who's taking pole then. What's
I,
what's
the
what's
thing is,
happening?
again, yes, Mercedes go really quick in the cold conditions. Yes, George Russell has been in form, street races, night races, all of that. Yes, Kimi Antonelli has been in form. But let's remember, last race that Mercedes dominated was Singapore, which was a hot and humid race. So have Mercedes in wanting to get more stable performances across temperature ranges taken away this we perform well at cold races. That's going to be one of the hypotheses that might or might not get clarified this weekend. So that's one. The second
God,
is,
name, Kunal. Who's taking pole?
I, I just don't want to throw a name there for the sake of it. Okay, now
Oh,
I'm
come
going.
on. That's what predictions all about. I'm gonna throw a name out there.
Let
I'm
go
gonna
for it.
say yeah, I'm gonna say Max Verstappen. I'm gonna
Why?
say Max Verstappen for pole. It's a circuit where the driver is a really important component
Mm.
and confidence is absolutely key. Yes, you have a long straight, but all of these other 90-degree corners, it's kind of like getting the best out of the worst. You might look at them as very boring corners because, well, they don't really have that character that you'd find in a Spa or hell, even a Montreal, if you have to think about it that way. But you've got to get the most out of them, of these basic 90-degree corners, of these small chicanes, of these annoying little corners that you don't really feel flowy at, but they just there. They are there. You've got to make the best out of them. And in that case, balance and flow, super important. Cold temperatures, of course, will make a difference, but I'm going for Max because I feel that at this moment, there's no better driver out there than him. And it's only fair that he gets back in because of this circuit. We're not expecting more from McLaren. It could be the Mercedes hypothesis that you spoke about. Maybe they are there, maybe they aren't. But one thing's for sure, Max always is there somehow.
Yes, he's always there. And let me. I agree. I was going to say Max as well, and I'll expand on that. Right. I don't believe the Ferraris are going to be in it. I don't believe the Mercedes are going to be in it. I don't believe the McLarens are going to be in it. Right. I think it's going to be Max, and of course we'll know in 24 hours time what comes of it. But let me explain this further. So it's a high speed circuit, right? With a lot of similar characteristics to Baku, and who actually dominated in Baku? it was Red Bull and Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Right, so that was that. This circuit benefits a lot of high aero efficiency. So yes, it will be lower downforce levels, or not as low as Monza, because you still have a tight infield section. But we've seen that Red Bull can be very, very aero efficient. There is the circuit is also, the straights are power limited, and that means that you're only limited by the output of your power unit. And guess who got a new power unit under reliability concerns? It was Max Verstappen in Brazil. Could that lead to something else out there as well? So I believe they're going to
Yeah.
throw everything at it. I know you said at the start of the episode, Max is got an outside chance. Stefano Domenicali, the CEO of Formula One, believes a little more than that. And 3 races to go, lots of stuff up there. But yes, typically it's the slow speed stuff is where you need the downforce for. So that's going to be about finding the balance in the setup. Do you go absolutely hammering down those straights and then struggle in the slow speed corners, or do you try and maximize the slow speed corners? Because the bigger question here, Soumil, and the reason why the the cold temperatures come into play is there's going to be excessive focus on warming up those tires,
Yeah.
whether it is qualifying, whether it's the race. In the race, the first 5 to 7 laps will be very, very crucial. We're going to hear again another drinking game is going to be gentle introduction. So we're going to hear a gentle introduction all the time in the race, at least. And that's where there's a very powerful chance of getting an overcut, right? So again, could it be McLaren stuck with two drivers versus Max, trying to play some papaya rules and strategy? Who will they, favor with a beneficial strategy in trying to beat Max? Could be one of those scenarios. And similarly, qualifying, I more than the hot lap, I'm going to be focusing on the preparatory laps, because Pirelli and the teams are so nervous that if you push a little too much, you're going to end up with tires dead before the start of the hot lap, or completely out of the window before the start of the hot lap, Soumil.
Yeah, but Pirelli this year have said that deg is expected to be lower. That's what they're trying with the new tires. The start time has also been pulled back by a couple of hours.
Do you
So it's
think
not
that'll
meant to
impact?
be.
Do you think that'll
That's what
impact?
I'm wondering, right? That's what I'm wondering. I'm hoping that it does not, because somewhere cold races are fun. Like they're trying to make it more level. They want to make sure that there's not as much degradation, so it's more consistent, and temperatures are slightly warmer, so more people can come in and race. But I want more of a challenge. I liked what Las Vegas has represented over the last couple of years, which is an extreme race with extreme temperatures and extreme conditions, and you've got to manage it to win. So if you were to ask me the question, what does it take to win at Las Vegas? Having a really good power unit, managing cold tires, making sure they warm up quickly and they don't degrade fast, and on top of that, balance at a circuit which might seem very Mickey Mouse in nature. And that for a driver means extracting pace from the last thousandth of a second you can find, which is a good race, Kunal. Isn't that phenomenal? Like, and Las Vegas, we've also seen so many overtakes here. We've seen Alpine do very well until their power units have permitted them, because Pierre Gasly's engine literally blew off last year. And it's one of those circuits where things get mixed up quite often. And I like that. I like what it is. So I'm hoping the change in start time and the reported temperature prediction for Saturday, in fact, not even Sunday this time, does not make a difference, because I've enjoyed Las Vegas over the last couple of years. I really do.
Yes,
I
and
love the
just
circuit.
just to add one key point to what you said was the stability in the package is going to be key, right? Because
Hmm.
there is a higher penalty from sliding through the low speed corners and graining your tires than being slow on the straight. So it's all going to be about that, who's able to find that balance. And Red Bull will have 3 free practice sessions to get it right this time, unlike what happened in Brazil. But all eyes on Red Bull Racing. I would say all eyes even on Oscar Piastri. And somehow, the drop in performance has raised a lot of eyebrows, almost to the extent that everyone's wondering, is this, McLaren favoring one driver over the other? Is this sabotage in any way? And for Oscar Piastri, again, we land up at a circuit which, because of colder temperatures, is going to offer low grip. I mean, what does that guy need to do? Maybe he needs to pay to have F3 and F2 happening at the circuit, because track evolution is going to be high. But in terms of asphalt grip, this is going to be at an all-time low. I think Pirelli's rating is 1 out of 5, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
Exactly. That's the crazy part. It is going to be a fun race. And I'm thinking, wouldn't it be beautiful to see a red scarlet Ferrari just a week after getting criticism from the president of the company for not performing on track? Imagine if those two drivers, imagine if Lewis Hamilton or Charles Leclerc are able to take a scarlet red Ferrari after being criticized for their driving to a win in front of these amazing iconic hotels that we all dream of visiting for fun, like
Do
Caesar's
you?
Palace, like Bellagio, Paris. These are iconic places. Think of the artists that come here. Think of the memories people create here. And one of the memories could be Ferrari winning in Las Vegas. If you think I'm just like in delirium right now, they were good last year, and Leclerc really did challenge Verstappen as well in 23. It just all unraveled, just like it did for Sainz last year too. So I'm just hoping, Kunal, that the best way for Leclerc and Hamilton to answer John Elkins' criticism is by performing on track. And this weekend, if the Ferrari really has been, I mean, if it turns out to be as good as it has been over the last couple of years here, I'm just hoping for a podium at least. Like that's the bare minimum.
Which driver will be on the podium then?
Oh, Lewis, it has to be. It
I
has to be.
I hope so. I'd love to see double podiums. And you basically what you're saying is they're just going to follow what Elkin said, which is focus on the driving and do
Yeah.
less talking,
If
right?
that is it, just focus on the driving. Let's just put it all out there and prove him wrong because
Y-
there's clearly a mismatch in understanding about the situation.
Yes, and you just said Ferrari, if they've been there the way they've been there the last couple of races or last couple of seasons, right? They've had at least one car in the front row in Las Vegas in the last two races. Of course, only two races that we've had, but that itself, shows that they go pretty well out here. Although they have suffered a double DNF in two out of the last seven Grand Prix. It was Netherlands and Sao Paulo. That's happened. And as a team, they've led just 50 laps and taken just seven podium finishes in 2025, none with the hands of Lewis Hamilton. Yes, it would be fantastic if they respond to John Elkin via performing on track. And Charles Leclerc has actually gone 60 races without a Q1 elimination. That's the longest current streak in the paddock. It could also be its fourth winless season with Ferrari out of seven seasons.
Wow,
And Las Vegas is now the venue of Hamilton's last podium in Formula One, the
that is correct.
202nd podium as well. And this is another battle I'm looking out for. I'm pretty sure it's for P7, P8. Antonelli is just 26 points behind Lewis Hamilton in the Drivers' Championship.
That is correct.
What do you think is happening there?
And I really think Kimi Antonelli has a chance to take it over. The confidence that he's been showing and how good we're expecting Mercedes to be this weekend, I believe Kimi Antonelli can take up Lewis Hamilton's position on the point standings by the end of the year. He can overtake him.
Yes,
I'm
and
just so excited.
yeah, and when you say Mercedes actually led every session last year in the Las Vegas Grand Prix, it's going to be Russell's 150th Grand Prix with 150th Grand Prix in Formula One, right? But he's never taken more than two wins in a year, so he also has this chance to get his third win in a season, something he's never done before.
That's insane, honestly. To think that George Russell has not won more than two races in a year is honestly insane. Don't you think
And
so?
it is, and can you imagine? Since two is a number, he's been beaten by Antonelli in the last two consecutive weekends, Mexico and Sao Paulo. So I'm eager to see if it is Mercedes at front. Will it be hammer and tongs between Antonelli and Russell, and will this be gloves out in any way? Because last year they had an easy 1-2, if I remember correctly. Yes, there was an easy 1-2, and Ferrari was third, but there was no McLaren or Red Bull racing on the podium. So if our predictions
Yeah.
have to come right, it's actually undoing everything that we saw last year.
And Kimi Antonelli has the chance of winning a Formula One race in his first season here in Vegas. He could do exactly what Lewis did, win his first F1 race in his first season with the silver team with the Mercedes engine in North America. There's a real chance here. I mean, Kimi's got the momentum. Yes, we know Mercedes are good here. It will take a great qualifying session for Kimi to be able to make that happen because that's critical at a circuit like this. And he will also have to be good in defense because we have seen here. that the leader can be attacked, and it's a dusty circuit. And if you do get pushed offline, things will really unravel for you. So it's got to be a good performance from him. But there is a legitimate chance, given the fact that he has beaten George. And there is also a
Yes.
legitimate chance that there are lots of turnovers in P6 as well for the midfield because there's so many battles happening there as well.
Indeed, and I'm so glad you said that because in the last 2 years again, the front row starters have always ended up on the podium, right? But the third place actually first came in 2023 from 11th place, Checo Perez, and then in 2024 from 10th place, Lewis Hamilton. So the third place on the podium has actually been not just outside of the front row or the front three rows, but literally from the fifth row on the grid. And I find that so amusing as a stat in itself. I mean, I don't know if that'll repeat itself or
Hmm.
not, but I would love to see if Mercedes actually ends up being quick just because of the conditions. Because typically we say, that they sort of dialed that out of their upgrades or package because that was a limitation in their car when it came to tire degradation, which is why they went well on outlier circuits with such cold temperatures. But I'm going to wait and watch before I literally put all my money on Mercedes for this race weekend, Soumil.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it really pans out in real life. Ferrari are a big mystery as well about where they can be. But I really want to talk about the midfield, P6 particularly, because that's where all the drama is. That's where so much fun is happening. And you could legitimately see four teams have their positions completely swapped out in the last couple of races. Racing Bulls are there. You've got Haas in the mix as well. Aston Martin too. Yeah, it's
Yeah, so Racing Bulls 82 points, 10 points behind is Aston Martin in 7th place, 2 points behind is Haas in 8th place, 8 points behind is Sauber in 9th place. And that is the battle I'm most excited to watch because if Kick Sauber, I don't know why I said Kick Sauber, but if Sauber goes from 6th, sorry, from 9th to 6th position, Sawmill, that's almost a 30 to 40 million dollar
yeah,
payout that they could have over 3 races. So the stakes are so high, right? And
pun
that's why
intended.
the stakes, yeah, it's absolutely pun intended. And I love that the midfield is still throwing everything at it. I mean, Aya Komatsu literally said we can fight anywhere, we just need both drivers to perform in qualifying. Okay, which actually brings me to the next set of predictions. So we've done who'll take pole, who'll take win. Who do you think is going to land up on the podium, or did we also do the podium?
Oh, so our podium for Las Vegas, I'm going Max Verstappen for pole. However, in the race, Kimi Antonelli wins, George Russell is second, and Max Verstappen is third. Who are you going for, Kunal? Are you going as brave as I am?
Oh, well, no, I'm not going as brave as you. I don't think Kimi Antonelli is going to win. I still get a feeling George Russell is going to pull it out of the bag. It's going to be George versus Max. Max's bigger challenge is not going to be to find the balance, but Red Bull's always had those tire warm up issues, that come up, street circuits and the cold temperatures and so on. So I'm eager to see where they go. But yeah, I think it's going to be largely the good friends Verstappen versus Russell out there. I think maybe one of the Ferraris will sneak in onto the podium. I think both the McLarens are going to lose a lot of points this weekend because this is one of those outlier circuits, and
Oh,
that's going to be my prediction as well. Who do you think is going to be in the hot seat? Who needs a good, strong performance but may not have it in Las Vegas? Pick one.
Oscar Piastri. I think he's in the hot seat. And I really want to predict with you folks what the best result for McLaren is going to be between the two drivers because I believe you might not see one higher than P5 this weekend. I hope so. I really hope so. And then it becomes a matter of best out of waste. Because when two drivers are not having a good weekend, how can you find yourself in a position where you're the better performing one from them and you end up dropping as few points as possible? And remember, Oscar is in a situation where he needs a big weekend. Lando's come back from having his back against the wall. He now just needs to coast through and find his way till the end. But Oscar, Unless it's a big turnaround, it's not a win for him. He
That's
really needs one big weekend.
I like how you said it. This is a do or die weekend of Oscar Piastri's Formula One career till date. And he needs to win races. Lando can go without winning races with that sort of gap they've had. So Oscar performing under that sort of pressure in conditions that he may not feel naturally comfortable at. And yes, now finally a lot of people are actually saying in the paddock, maybe it's just down to inexperience. And the truth is, when a car comes your way, inexperience is the last excuse you'd like to give for not being able to deliver, even though these tires are actually very, very tricky, and pretty much everyone's been abusing them when they get a chance to do, in terms of how the tires are such a limiting factor to car performance, right? But I would say the driver I think I would like to see, I think is going to be in the hot seat, is going to be Esteban Ocon. Okay, last four races Oliver Behrman has out qualified him. He's won the head to head qualifying in his debut season in F1 against Ocon, who's actually been pretty good single lap pace as well. So that's one. Second is, I think Oliver Behrman has also outscored him in the last four races back to back. So if there's
Yeah.
anyone in major pressure, it will be Ocon, because Ocon is highly regarded at Mercedes. He was almost ready to have that Mercedes seat when it was going to come. So it's going to be Ocon. And if I can add one to the list, who's always going to be permanently there till he's announced otherwise, is Yuki Tsunoda. If
Yeah.
Red Bull actually hasn't made up their mind and they're going to give more time to the drivers till literally Las Vegas and Qatar, can Yuki be there? Can he be close to Max? And if Max is actually up there, can Yuki spoil the race for the McLarens, take points away? Like we've said, Yuki doing what Checo Perez did in 2021.
It's a tall order, especially when you consider the Yuki has not been feeling as good with the car. And Brazil was horrible, honestly. Yuki said that he should have scored points. But this weekend is about to be even trickier for Yuki Tsunoda, given the conditions. So I'm really watching out for that. I'm also watching out for the liveries. Yuki Tsunoda has got a special helmet. It's a ceramic themed one, so it looks really pretty. It's almost like one of those china pots you get or china plates you get usually. So it's nice and cool. George Russell has a helmet with this number 63 on the side, with those tiny little George Russells putting their hand to the side like they do in the F1 intro, which is also very cool. And Esteban Ocon has a Spider-Man 2 themed helmet with the dark side and Spider-Man. It's beautiful. People are coming with good helmets here. And
You know,
Lando Norris also has a special one.
something, Samuel? I have not noticed a single one of these
Come
helmets.
on.
I swear I haven't. I just think, isn't it 10 out of 10 teams that have special liveries for this race as well? I mean, is this a special livery Grand Prix? I don't know what's the whole big deal about liveries out there. I think Williams has it, Sauber has it, Racing Bulls has it.
Yeah.
Not sure who else has taken new liveries or not.
It's
But should
beautiful,
we?
right? You dress up for the big occasion, shouldn't you?
Wow, I never thought of it that way. That's a wonderful way to put it. But what are we calling the Las Vegas city itself? Because there are so many terms for it as well. It's called Sin City, entertainment capital of the world, city of lights, the gambling capital of the world. I also read something damn interesting. It's the wedding capital of the world. There are
Oh,
five.
I've heard so.
Yeah, there was a stat out there which I can read out now, that there's a wedding capital of the world. Um, 30 seconds is the time elapsed between weddings taking place in Las Vegas, and there are almost 500 weddings a day celebrated here. In fact, there is a chapel in the paddock, and it wasn't in Jacques Villeneuve who
Yeah.
got married here in 2023.
That's a very hangover movie type story. Honestly. Like you get married in a chapel that belongs to Formula One because Formula One literally owns the paddock here. That it's not a circuit that they're renting out, it is their paddock building, and it's with the city of Las Vegas that they have organized the race. It'll be crazy. It's such an experience. Don't they have like the fan zone over here as well with so many Formula One experiences and kind of like an F1 museum and an F1 merch store as well. This place is crazy what they've done.
This is what Formula One would do if pretty much they promoted every race on the calendar. And I like that they've invested in the race. That's how much they believe in the progress and the success of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. And Las Vegas Grand Prix 2024 had almost $934 million in revenue, Soumil. So this is that money spinner of the races. So yes, there are technical challenges. Yes, drivers will be paraded as monkeys in front of the VIPs. That's what Max Verstappen said in the first year and so on. But deep down inside, the engineers are going to be wondering about how do we get those tires to warm up and warm up in a way that they don't degrade. And the bigger challenge is tires actually get warm here, but tires are cold while the brakes are warm, and that is what leads to a lot of snap oversteers, as we call it, and so on. So engineers are going to be thinking of it, and typically by now you would have assumed that engineers have found a way around it, but Las Vegas still continues to be unpredictable. And it's going to be literally reading every session for what it is and calling strategy, getting the feel of the session for what it is. Just because you were quick in the previous session doesn't mean you will end up getting it right in this session as well, because a lot of times it's literally like coming to a new circuit each time a session comes up. And your favorite part of the circuit, Somil, which is the manhole between turn 16 and 17, has been reprofiled, which hopefully means that it doesn't pop out and it doesn't bother any other drivers, cause any damages, and thankfully doesn't injure anyone as well. But are you looking forward to those beautiful curbs with the, what is it called, the uh those signs from the cards? Isn't that what we call it?
Yeah, it's fun. It's one of those things. I don't mind.
What else? I mean, you said dressing up for the big occasion. What else is what are you looking forward to? I mean, the
Well,
visuals, the
the
nightlife, the night
exorbitant
sky.
ticket prices for one.
But they actually
Like
have a
you can find
$50 entry ticket, no?
that's what this. It's such a big range, right? Las Vegas is one of those places where you can offer everything. So you've got these $50 tickets, then you've got the general admission ones as well. You could book out a suite with the room facing the track as well. There's like there's a whole heap of options, and you don't get these experiences anywhere else. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But the artist lineup is a little disappointing. That's the one note that I want to end on. Like, come on, Las Vegas. Like this could have really been better. Like year one, they had J Balvin, Tiesto, John Legend, Kylie Minogue, 30 Seconds to Mars. That is like such a good lineup, and it doesn't quite look this good this year. I mean, the only one who I can sort of think of as a global star is Louis Tomlinson, and he's alone. There's not like anyone else to perform with him.
What are
There's
you
Kunal
talking?
yawning. Like, Kunal, it's Las Vegas, and the likes of a Don Toliver and a Travis Scott and all these other big people who I personally would listen to. Or hell, any other global celebrity like a Dua Lipa or Sabrina Carpenter, they're not in Las Vegas, which means the biggest celebrities are choosing not to perform at the crown jewel of Formula One, at least in North America. That sort of makes me feel a little hollow too. But I get a feeling this is the note where you're like, end
No,
the
no, one sec.
episode.
One sec. No. One sec. I'm looking forward to that cool down room car. Isn't it
Oh,
like it's like when I think it was very awkward when Lewis and Max were on it last year. Like suddenly one is sitting ahead, one is sitting behind,
oh,
and
they should get a drive from Mike Tyson. Honestly, that would be the most Las Vegas thing in the cool down room car. Like,
there will be a cavalcade, and and so on. But is there anything else which is very very Las Vegas specific? The sphere, I'm eager to see what those
yeah,
sphere and the emotions and the messages there are. And but what if Las Vegas fails to entertain? Because this is the entertainment capital of the world. Formula One's gone there hoping to entertain, but what if Las Vegas fails to entertain, Samuel? What if it gets so cold that it just becomes yet another tire management race? And
well, that's also how some Las Vegas stories can end with an overdose. So it's
on that note,
it's Las Vegas, my friend. No, but on that note, make sure you follow us, folks. We're going to be back with more content on Instagram and YouTube on the Inside Line F1 podcast. A post race review will also follow. Kunal and I will be on the Fan Code Hindi Formula One broadcast. So that's where you can hear us this weekend. And of course, that shall continue onwards as well. Very excited to bring you more stuff on ground as well. So make sure you are following myself, Kunal, the Inside Line F1 podcast for what we're doing. And there's lots of really cool things coming around for you folks that we really want to share. So take care. Make sure you're following us. Make sure you share your predictions down in the comments on whatever platform you're watching or listening on. And we will catch you for the Las Vegas Grand Prix this weekend. Bye bye.